The story begins with a truck approaching a quarantine area. Workers stop the vehicle and spray it with disinfectant. The driver asks what is happening, and one of the workers explains that there was a small leak in the biotech district, but it shouldn't be a big problem. The driver continues on his way. When his phone suddenly rings, he reaches for it and accidentally hits something on the road. He stops the truck and gets out to check. It's a deer lying in the middle of the road. After making sure his truck isn't damaged, he leaves the animal there and drives away. But moments later, the deer slowly gets back up, as if it has come back to life. Meanwhile, Sok-woo is busy at work, talking to a client about selling certain stocks. While checking a news website, he notices reports about many fish mysteriously dying in a reservoir. When his assistant walks in, Seok-woo quickly orders him to sell all stocks connected to that company. Later that day, he parks his car and argues on the phone with his ex-wife about their daughter, Suan. It's her birthday the next day, and she wants to visit her mother in Busan. But Sok-woo doesn't like the idea of her traveling alone. When he arrives home, his mother opens the door. Inside the house, he finds Suan in her room talking to her mom on the phone, saying she could take the train by herself. When she notices her father standing there, she quickly ends the call. Sok-woo sits beside his daughter and asks her to wait one more week until his work becomes less busy, promising that he will take her to Busan himself. He then gives her her birthday gift early, but when Suan opens it, she realizes it's the same present he had given her before. When he asks what she really wants, she quietly says she just wants to see her mom. She even says she can go alone so she doesn't disturb his work. Later, Sok-woo talks with his mother about the situation. She tells him that when he goes to Busan, he should have a proper conversation with his ex-wife. Sok-woo says this is an important time for his job, but his mother reminds him that it's also an important time in Suan's life. Before leaving, she gives him a camera that contains a recording of Suan's recital, the one he missed. When Sok-woo watches the video and sees how sad his daughter looked, he finally decides that he will take her to Busan himself. In the car, Sok-woo talks to his daughter Suan about her recital, trying to turn it into a life lesson. On the way, he almost crashes into an ambulance. Soon after, they see a convoy of emergency vehicles rushing past them. Suan also notices black ash falling from the sky, and in the reflection of the car, they can see a fire burning somewhere in the distance. At the station, the train to Busan is ready to depart. The conductor and attendants prepare the train while passengers take their seats. A high school baseball team boards the train, joking around with each other. Soon, Sok-woo and Suan also get on. Before the train leaves, Sok-woo calls his office and says he'll be back before lunchtime. Just before departure, a young woman with an injured leg runs into the train at the last second. As the train begins moving, Suan looks out the window and sees a man suddenly attack a station worker. Meanwhile, the injured girl slowly walks through the train. There is a strange bite mark on her leg, but no one really pays attention. A passenger named Yeon-suk tells an attendant that a suspicious man jumped onto the train and has been hiding in the bathroom for a while. Curious, Suan goes to see what's happening. The man inside keeps repeating that everyone is dead, but the attendant doesn't understand and asks him to come out. At the same time, the injured girl collapses on the floor of another car. Soon, she begins shaking violently. When a female attendant finds her and calls for help, the girl suddenly transforms into a zombie and attacks her. Meanwhile, Sok-woo wakes up when his phone rings and realizes Suan is missing. His assistant tells him that something strange is happening across the country. As passengers watch the news in confusion, chaos suddenly erupts. The infected girl bites the attendant, who quickly turns into a zombie as well. The infection spreads fast, and soon people start getting attacked everywhere. Suan hides inside a restroom while terrified passengers run through the train. Sok-woo finally finds her and quickly grabs her. Together, they run through the train, while a growing crowd of zombies chases them. In another car, a strong man named Sang-hwa is traveling with his pregnant wife, Song-kyung. When the chaos reaches them, Sang-hwa tries to help a woman being attacked, but nearly gets bitten himself. He manages to lock one zombie inside a bathroom while telling his wife to run. Sok-woo reaches the next car and quickly shuts the door, accidentally leaving Song-kyung outside. Sang-hwa fights off a zombie and manages to push his wife inside before closing the door just in time. They soon realize that the zombies cannot open the train doors. Sok-woo also notices that the creatures attack mainly when they see someone. When Song-kyung blocks the window, the zombies suddenly calm down. Over the intercom, The conductor announces that the train will skip the next station. Yeon-suk angrily asks if the conductor even knows what is happening on the train, but the conductor replies that he is simply following orders from the control center. At that moment, Seok-woo receives a call from his mother. She tells him to take care of Suan. While still on the phone, she suddenly becomes silent and turns into one of the infected. Realizing what happened, Seok-woo quietly hangs up without telling his daughter. As the train passes another station, desperate people outside bang on the windows, begging for help. But zombies suddenly appear and attack them. Soon after, a government broadcast appears on the news saying violent riots have broken out in many cities and a national emergency has been declared. Officials tell citizens to stay calm and remain at home, even though the images on TV show cities burning and people being attacked. Inside the train, the passengers block the doors and move further away from the infected cars. Suan tries calling her mother, but the call won't connect. Seok-woo sits her down while trying to reach someone who can help. Nearby, an elderly woman named In-gil gives up her seat so Suan can sit. Sang-hwa, still angry that Seok-woo shut the door earlier, complains about him. When Suan says her father works as a fund manager, Sang-hwa jokes that it basically means he's a bloodsucker. His wife tries to lighten the mood by giving Suan some candy and letting her feel the baby kick. Soon after, the conductor announces that the train will stop at a station where the military has been deployed to protect them. But Seok-woo overhears Yeon-suk talking on the phone and learns that the city they are heading to might not actually be safe. Seok-woo tells Suan to stay where she is while he goes to make a call. He contacts a client who has connections and asks about the station where the train will stop. The man warns him that everyone there will likely be placed in quarantine. Wanting to protect his daughter, Seok-woo asks for help. After a moment, the man quietly tells him not to go to the main square when they arrive. Instead, he should head to the east side, where his people will be waiting to help them. On the train, Seok-woo notices the homeless man sitting quietly in the car. Soon, the train arrives at a city where the military was supposed to be waiting. But when the doors open, the station is completely empty. Yeon-suk quickly pushes his way out first, and the other passengers follow, including Seok-woo and Suan. Some of the baseball players step out as well, holding their bats for safety. Meanwhile, the conductor is being shown the infected train car by an attendant. Yeon-suk arrives and says that Busan is one of the few cities still open. He suggests disconnecting the zombie car, but that turns out to be impossible. The conductor decides they should go straight to Busan, but first he wants to bring the passengers back onto the train. Inside the station, the passengers slowly walk through the quiet building. Seok-woo secretly leads Suan into a restricted area so they can reach the East Square, where his contact told him to go. The homeless man overhears this and follows them, hoping to escape with them. Suan wants to warn the others, but her father refuses, which makes her sad. At the same time, the rest of the passengers ride down an escalator. Sang-hwa begins to feel that something is wrong with the empty station. Meanwhile, a soldier appears at the end of the hallway near Seok-woo. The homeless man runs toward him, and Seok-woo follows. When the passengers reach the bottom of the escalator, the horrible truth is revealed. The soldiers there have all turned into zombies. The infected suddenly attack the crowd. Sang-hwa quickly pulls his pregnant wife onto the stairs so they can escape. At the same moment, Seok-woo gets a call from his client saying he cannot contact his men. Suddenly, a zombie attacks a soldier nearby. More zombies appear and begin eating him. Realizing the danger, Seok-woo runs back to Suan. She is almost attacked, but Sang-hwa arrives just in time to save her. He and his wife grab Suan and run. The survivors rush back toward the train. Some baseball players hold the door open while others climb inside. Seok-woo struggles with a zombie until the homeless man helps him escape. Sang-hwa opens the door again so Seok-woo can get inside, and together they slam it shut. But outside, the situation is getting worse. Zombies begin smashing through the station windows and falling onto the train. People run in every direction while the infected swarm everywhere. Some passengers barely make it back inside. Yeon-suk tells the attendants they must leave immediately if they want to survive. One cheerleader protests because her friends are still outside, but the attendant contacts the conductor and orders the train to depart. Meanwhile, Sang-hwa and Seok-woo are still running for the train with a few others. As they reach the stairs, zombies attack and kill 2 of the baseball players. The last player freezes in fear, but Sok-woo pulls him along and pushes him onto the train. Sang-hwa grabs a shield and baton from a fallen soldier and fights off zombies before finally jumping onto the train himself. The conductor contacts the control center and asks if the path to Busan is still open. They tell him to continue to Busan while they try to contact the next station. Elsewhere on the train, Song-kyung, Soo-an, and a few others become trapped between two infected train cars. They quickly hide inside a restroom, barely managing to hold the door closed as zombies push from outside. Back in another car, passengers cover the windows while the conductor announces that the train will now head directly to Busan. The cheerleader receives a call from the last surviving baseball player, who sadly says that none of his teammates survived. At the same time, Sok-woo tries to call Soo-an, but instead hears Sang-hwa answering. Soo-an tells him they are trapped in a restroom in car 13. The baseball player explains that Sok-woo and the others are in car 15. Determined to rescue them, Sang-hwa creates a plan. He will lead the way, the baseball player will stay in the middle, and Sok-woo will guard the back. They decide to move when the train passes through tunnels, because the zombies cannot see in the dark. As soon as they enter the next car, the zombies attack. Sang-hwa fights them with his bare hands while Sok-woo helps from behind. The baseball player swings his bat, and together, they push through the crowd of infected. In the next car, many zombie baseball players appear. The boy hesitates, shocked by the sight of his teammates. Sang-hwa pushes him aside and continues fighting, while Sok-woo grabs another bat and joins him. Suddenly, the train enters a tunnel, and the zombies become confused in the darkness. Sok-woo makes noise with the bat, distracting them long enough for the group to escape. Later, Sok-woo gets another idea. During the next tunnel, they throw a phone and call it, drawing the zombies toward the sound so they can pass safely. Finally, they reach the restroom where Soo-an and the others are hiding. Everyone is relieved to see each other alive. Soon they try moving again, hiding in luggage racks while passing through another car filled with zombies. Sok-woo distracts the creatures so the others can move forward. But the homeless man trips and accidentally steps on a soda can, making noise. The zombies immediately rush toward them. They barely manage to reach the next door, but one zombie gets stuck in it. Sang-hwa holds the door closed with all his strength while the others try to enter the next car. The baseball player calls out to the cheerleader inside car 15, but the passengers there have locked the door and refuse to open it, afraid the group might be infected. As Sok-woo tries to help Sang-hwa, a zombie suddenly bites him. At that moment, the door finally breaks open and the group manages to enter the car. Sang-hwa knows he is infected. He tells his wife to stay away and asks Sok-woo to take care of her and their baby. Sok-woo apologizes, but Sang-hwa smiles and holds the zombies back so the others can escape. The door finally closes, leaving Sang-hwa behind as he fights the horde. Inside the car, Sok-woo quickly grabs Soo-an and Song-kyung, but they cannot save the elderly woman In-gil in time. Furious, Sok-woo attacks Yeon-suk and calls him a coward. Yeon-suk then claims that Sok-woo might be infected and convinces the others to force them into the vestibule. The frightened passengers from car 15 shout at them to get out. The homeless man steps into the next car first. The cheerleader refuses to stay with the frightened passengers, so she leaves with the last surviving baseball player. Sung-young tells Soo-an that they should go too, and Sok-woo follows them. The other passengers quickly shut the door, trapping them in the vestibule. At that moment, Jong-gil sees her sister, who has turned into a zombie on the other side of the door. Before anyone can stop her, she opens it. The zombies rush inside and attack the passengers in the car. Meanwhile, the conductor calls the control center to ask about the situation in Busan. He gets no answer, but in the distance, he can see fires burning across the city. Back in the train, Sok-woo finally speaks honestly with Soo-an. He promises that he will take her to see her mother for her birthday. Soon after, his assistant calls and says that Busan still has the strongest defenses left. He also reveals something shocking. The virus actually started in one of Sok-woo's own companies. Suddenly, the train stops because the tracks ahead are blocked. The conductor announces that he will try to find another train to take the survivors to Busan. Elsewhere, Yeon-suk and one of the attendants have somehow survived the zombie attack. The conductor searches for another train and eventually finds one that is empty, so he starts moving it. Yeon-suk and the attendant are hiding in a restroom. Pretending to help, Yeon-suk tells the attendant to go first, then suddenly pushes him into a group of zombies so he can escape alone. At the same time, a burning train car crashes into the area where the survivors are. separating everyone. The baseball player helps the cheerleader climb into another train. But while he tries to open the door, Yeon-suk appears and pushes the girl toward the zombies so he can get inside. The baseball player manages to fight the zombie, but the girl begins turning and sadly bites him. Meanwhile, Suwon wakes Seok-woo. He, Sung-kyung, Suwon, and the homeless man are trapped under a collapsed train car. Not far away, Yeon-suk runs toward the moving train. The conductor tries to help him, but Yeon-suk betrays him as well and leaves him behind. Seok-woo eventually finds a small opening and begins pulling everyone out. But before the homeless man can escape, the gap collapses again. Zombies break through the train windows, and the homeless man sacrifices himself, holding them back so the others can run. Seok-woo, Sung-kyung, and Suwon chase after the moving train and finally manage to climb onto it. However, many zombies grab onto the train as well. Seok-woo struggles to knock them off until they finally fall away. Inside the train cabin, they expect to find the conductor. Instead, they find Yeon-suk, who is already half turned into a zombie. He opens the door, and Seok-woo realizes he has been infected. When Yeon-suk fully turns, he attacks them. Seok-woo fights him while Sung-kyung helps push the zombie away. In the struggle, Yeon-suk bites Seok-woo. Realizing he is infected, Seok-woo chains the zombie and throws it off the train. Knowing he doesn't have much time left, Seok-woo guides Sung-kyung and Suwon into the driver's cabin and shows them how to operate the train. He tells Suwon to stay strong and reach Busan safely with Sung-kyung. Suwon refuses to let him go and holds on to him tightly. But before he turns, Seok-woo gently frees himself from her arms and steps outside the cabin. As he begins transforming into a zombie, he remembers the day Suwon was born. With tears in his eyes, he jumps off the train. Later, the train stops again because another blockade blocks the tracks. Suwon and Sung-kyung are forced to continue on foot through the wreckage and bodies. Eventually, they enter a dark tunnel. On the other side, soldiers from the military are waiting. A sniper aims at them, but cannot tell if they are infected. The order is almost given to shoot. At that moment, Suwon begins singing the song from her recital. Hearing her voice, the soldiers realize they are survivors and report that 2 people are approaching safely. Thank you for watching and subscribe for more recaps.